911, what's your emergency?
Yes, hi. My genetically engineered alpacas that I was creating for my alpaca theme park have escaped in the power outage.
Damn it, Moira!
So stupid.
I know. Isn't that stupid? But it's kind of fun, though, right?
It's kind of fun.
It kind of keeps us loose, keeps us fresh.
The question is, will any listeners remember that the mad scientist from season 8 was named Moira?
Hey, if you do, leave a comment. Tell us down below. We want to hear all about it and your hot Moira takes. I feel like everyone has the same opinion of her, which is like, I hate her and want her to die. I don't know. I thought she was kind of a slay.
No, I thought she was kind of a slay too. I thought it was very camp that the show just had an evil mad scientist that was evil and crazy, and that she got to be a hot lady.
Yeah, absolutely. She was just, honestly, people just hate to see a woman in STEM. That is what it is.
So true. The only reason people don't like the Lab Rat storyline in season 8 is their misogyny against female scientists. That is the only reason.
This is the conversation that we need to have on this show.
Exactly.
We need to really dig into it and get to the root of this issue that is causing this sort of rot and decay in the fandom.
You guys know we love to, call out biases in the fandom when we see them, and that's one of them. Mm-hmm. If you disliked season 8, episode 15, you are a misogynist, and you do not want to see women succeed in STEM fields. So chew on that. Today, we are discussing season 5, episode 2, Desperate Times, directed by Bradley. You guys know the drill. Written by Lindsay Bolio and Andrew Myers, two divas of the show.
Two divas of the show.
You know what's funny is I was catching up on season 9 yesterday because I had missed the last couple episodes the last couple weeks and wanted to watch last night's episode live. And season 9 episode 8 was so terrible. It was so bad. And then the next episode 9, was like much better, like on every level. And I looked up who wrote it. Oh, Kristen Rydell and Lindsay Bolio. And I was like, you guys,
wow,
when are we going to admit that they're good writers? Like, flawed at times, sure, but like this fandom vendetta against Kristen, it's like, guess what? When other clowns write an episode, it sucks ass. And Hen's characterization is all over the place and it's boring. I was like yelling at the screen watching season 9, episode 8. We need to talk about it sometime because it's very bizarre.
I wonder when we would talk about it. Maybe in release order.
I guess we can just wait for that.
But I was curious about it because I was reading your tweet thread on twitter.com as you were live tweeting these 3 episodes. And I was unsurprised to hear about the unevenness of the newer episodes. Yeah. What I was surprised to hear about was I heard something of a significant knife of sentimental value to Bobby Nash.
Yeah, I like that you latched onto that detail because it's not a very big part of the episode. It's just like a touching thing of like when Harry starts at the 118, Athena and May are like, we're giving you Bobby's special knife. But then they're like, you know what Bobby would have wanted is for you to have your own knife and not be defined by his legacy. So they like give him Bobby's knife as to kind of make a statement. And then they give him a new knife. And now he just has both knives. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. And that's why I tweeted that. I was like, since when is this like a thing that Bobby has an emotionally significant knife?
We're
I don't think it is a thing.
5 seasons now of going through these episodes with a fine-tooth comb.
Never
once has Bobby Nash brandished a knife in broad daylight, let alone like prayed over it.
I bet if you went back to certain episodes, maybe we would see him like using his tactical knife to like cut a rope or something, but it's never something that's been mentioned at the very least, right?
He never name drops like, this is my knife. There's I don't know. What's that army thing? Like
my alcoholic father gave me this knife.
My alcoholic father gave me this knife, and I used it to cut the umbilical cord on my firstborn, and it is stained with the blood of my spawn.
That doesn't sound very sanitary.
It doesn't sound sanitary. It also, I think in the screenshot I saw, it looked kind of old and rusted.
It did look pretty old and rusty. I would not use it for medical grade situations.
Could you imagine fucking Hen and Chim have to, I guess not Hen anymore. Is she still off the team? But they have to do like surgery in the field, and Harry's like, I got the perfect knife for this situation.
Oh God.
I got the perfect one.
Amputate. We have to amputate using Bobby's rusty, crusty old knife.
They're in the ambulance, and it's like, oh no, he died of tetanus.
Yeah.
Like,
he became septic after getting infected from all the bacteria on that knife.
I wish that was me. Anyways, yes, we're talking about season 5, episode 2, Desperate Times. And I will say at the top, I quite enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's action-packed, very dramatic, plenty of exciting revelations, a little bit of Buddie sprinkled in for good measure.
And it's like they use the Buddie sparingly.
Yes,
to the
tastefully.
point where it's tastefully, but also very powerful when it does happen.
It's like how you put just a little bit of caviar on a meal.
Yes. It's just the
just
light,
a little bit of truffle oil. You know, you don't want to overdo it. It's actually
like a
less
dusting
is more
of powdered
sometimes.
sugar on like a nice dessert or something to like not like, you know, totally cake it, but just like enough to like give it that nice sort of sweet hint. You know, it's nice. It's good. It's well done. So we begin essentially where we left off, with this fuck ass chopper trying to land on the roof. Now, there is this paramedic holding the heart. You know,
we have confirmation now that it is a heart.
He looks like the child of Anthony Ramos and Jeremy Jordan.
I see it. I see Jeremy Jordan more than Anthony Ramos, to be honest. But yes, definitely some Jeremy Jordan in there at the very least.
It's very off-putting, and I don't know what to make of it. But what's important is that he's new, and he has this very poetic view of the heart. Like it was a tragedy how we got this heart, but it's going to give birth to something beautiful or whatever.
I don't think he says give birth.
to new life or to
renewed
God, the
life.
Heart's
giving birth.
Oh no, the Lynchian nightmare. Did you see that Eraserhead Letterboxd review that was like fuck ass baby looking like an AirPod or something?
I did not see that.
But what's funny about this is that, you know, he like mentions like it was a tragedy, and you think, are we going to learn more about that? And then you don't, so you're just like, oh, I guess it just means someone died.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's any situation where you would donate your heart and it's not a tragedy. Like, you're just like, you know what, it's my time and I want to give my heart.
This is an authentic heart as opposed to the ones that we have in the line, which are 3D printed. And painted red.
Well, yes, this guy's being corny, and he's like, it's a tragedy, but it's going to become a miracle. And the other guy's like, yeah, rookie, I like that. Miracle incoming. Which is a funny thing to say, given that they're about to crash this helicopter into the hospital. So the power outage starts, and suddenly the helicopter pilot can't see the landing pad. Something happens. I couldn't quite tell. He dings the tail of the helicopter on something. I think. Yeah, it kind of seems like it just happens.
He nicks it on like a support pole or something. I don't know.
But now
the
they're
entire point of this is that like it's so dark you can't see shit. It's a blackout, so that makes sense. But we said this in the last episode, which is that he was already lined up with the helipad. Yes. It really reads like he was scared of the dark and got spooked. And that's why all this shit started to go down. But we're caught up, right? We're caught up from where we were because the 118's looking up at the helicopter dangling over the edge like that episode of ER.
Yeah, they like hear it crash into the roof, so they run out and now they can see this helicopter dangling. Yeah. And they're like, we better go deal with that, I guess.
So they do, and it's like it's caught on like a support cable or something, which is like holding it up, and they just have to go in like cowboys and get them out. So one thing that I didn't notice in watching this, so does the pilot get out of the helicopter? Because I'm like, I did not see if he got out of the helicopter. The entire scene is basically focused on the paramedic, who, to make a long story short, he got tussled up in the crash, and maybe his spine was severed in a certain point, and so he might be paralyzed because of that. So they have to get him out on a stretcher.
Yeah, I'm like scrubbing through the episode with the sound off right now, and I'm not seeing. You're right. I'm not seeing a moment where we see the pilot again. That's an interesting. Maybe he just like fell out of the helicopter right up at the top of this, and they were like, well, there's no saving him. He fell like 20 stories. I guess we'll just triage and focus on what we can.
They don't mention the dead pilot, and they even like have to like reach over and kill the engine.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they even have to reach over and kill the pilot.
They even have to reach over and kill the pilot. Yeah, no, you see Eddie like fall out of the pilot's door,
shoot him in the head,
and there's
like,
no pilot.
Put him out of his misery.
Where's the fucking pilot? I'm so confused.
I don't think he died. Maybe we could assume he just like was in a position where he could like jump out before, but yeah, I don't think we see him.
And abandon his buddy? What an asshole! If this pilot died, he deserved to, because he's a jackass for abandoning his friend.
Yeah, that is just, it's a little strange.
That's
it's like
evil.
They forgot to shoot like one little insert of like the guy getting out of the helicopter. But that aside, there's a great shot where like Eddie and Hen get onto the helicopter, and then it like tilts some more and kind of falls off the edge of the building more, and we see Eddie like tumble down into the window, like almost fall out the window in a very like
in the pilot
cinematic
seat.
Shot.
Oh no! I lied.
Something.
I lied.
Okay.
I just scrubbed it, and they did get the pilot out. I made a mountain out of a molehill. They got the pilot out.
And neither of us noticed. Well, that's
neither
great.
of us noticed. So sorry to this man.
But anyway, I like this shot of Eddie hanging out of the helicopter. I think it's very like kind of cunty of him.
What do you think it symbolizes in like use your film school education?
Yeah, we could say that he's kind of being like set adrift in his personal life right now, and it represents how unstable of ground he's standing on in terms of his sexuality and his relationship with Anna. That's what I'm gonna say.
Let's go even deeper. Let's go even deeper, pushing past even the deeper sexuality issue. What's at the core of his psyche? I'm imagining something like the helicopter symbolizes like maybe him being like ripped from the womb as a child, and like him dangling out of it is like not getting like the love and support he needed when he was young, which sort of set him up for failure later in life. And it's like a visual metaphor, but it's also like an emotional metaphor, because it's symbolic of the tumultuous nature of parenting on unstable ground.
Which of course is a cycle, and Eddie struggles with his own child. Well, yes, that's all well and good.
Maybe Eddie in this context could have been a good friend for Maddie, because you see Maddie having basically the same problem later in this episode. And it's like, if Eddie and Maddie had ever interacted, there could have been a healing
in their lives. Yes,
there could have been a healing.
And basically, we're getting the sense that this imagery of Eddie being birthed out of the helicopter, it's kind of setting up our themes for the entire episode, what with Maddie's parental struggles. So anyway, they managed to get the kid out by getting him onto a backboard. It's all kind of precarious, and he can't quite feel his feet, so he's a little worried. Everyone's a little worried that he's got some kind of terrible spinal injury and perhaps will be paralyzed. Jordan. I don't think we ever get, I mean, maybe we will as like one of those random like shots in a montage at the end of this storyline, like a follow-up to see if he did get paralyzed or not. But at least he's out of the falling helicopter, so he'll live at the very least.
There is like a funny like sort of using the tools available to you moment with they use the hose from I guess they just had a hose like for fires and whatnot.
Right.
And they tie it to the backboard. And then after they get him out, like they notice the heart and everything, and Hen tries to go for the heart, but they can't get it. So Bobby ties the hose around his waist.
Bobby gets an old man hero moment. He makes like a makeshift what's the word for that? Like a rappel or a belay or something. He makes a makeshift like harness for himself to go down the side of the building into the helicopter. And you're like, get it, Peepaw. And he is able to grab the heart. The cable holding up the helicopter snaps. And you're like, is Bobby going to go down with the helicopter? But no, he swings on his hose, which is funny because you see in the shot him like accidentally bonking the container holding the heart against the side of the building. And it looks like it's made of glass. So you're like, well, that's lucky that it didn't just shatter. But he manages to wrench himself up and put the heart on the ledge, and
he's still got a couple of years of good luck in him,
just
before that well runs dry. He's a real hosier, that one. You get, as the cable's about to snap, you get this iconic screen grab shot of Buck looking back
silently screaming, Cap!
Yeah.
And we also see, you had mentioned in the last episode, like, oh, you thought this was going to be like that ER episode where the hospital or where the helicopter falls to the ground in the hospital. And but then we get that moment when the cable is cut loose and the helicopter tumbles to the ground and explodes.
So good.
It's such a big explosion that you're like, surely that would have caused like catastrophic damage to the hospital, like as a building, but it doesn't really seem like it did. Like, the surgeon comes up and grabs the heart and she's like, okay, time to go operate in the dark. And you're like, well, I guess it's fine.
Well, at least they had firefighters on standby to put out the fire, right?
Put out the fire. There's a clean deep cut.
Oh, there you are. It is funny that you only see a couple of scorch marks on the building. I guess it's just a very sturdy
show
facade.
About firefighters, they've never used clean deep cut, put out the fire. This is why I should be running the show.
They've never used that, and I also don't think they ever used that Ellie Goulding song, "Burn." You got the fire, and we're gonna let it burn.
That'd be. That one is such a like simple song about fire and burning that would be a pretty hilarious one to like use in an emotional moment on the show.
It would be so good.
Just
I'm sorry.
Fire, burn.
I think that's like the level of like stupid schlocky goodness that the show needs to recapture. Because do you remember when they were playing it straight before the guy died, when they got him out of the that guy out of the escalator call, and like it was so schlocky and so stupid, and like we like weren't feeling it, but then he died and we were like, whoa.
But if you'll recall, I did not like the overbearing song they played during that moment.
I thought that was part of like sort of the dissonance of the scene. Like it's like playing with the idea of that, and then they actually like basically yank that but it's sweet saccharine moment away from you. Well, I
thought it cheapened the moment, but I would have laughed at it if they were playing the Ellie Goulding.
Yeah, if they were playing.
Imagine as he's like bleeding out from his escalator crush injuries, just because we got a fire.
I thought that maybe that would be good. That would be funny.
It would circle back around to being funny for sure. I'm shocked that they've never used somebody call 911 shoddy fire burning on the dance floor. Not even in like a promo. They should start doing Degrassi Shark in the Water promos where they pick like a really on the nose 911 related song like that one, or like 911 by Lady Gaga, and they just like do like little symbolic like vignettes, music video with all the cast. That would be so cool. Degrassi was so cool.
It'd be better than Ordinary.
Yes, it would.
Degrassi was cool for that.
How we all thought that Tim Minear was gay? I feel like you can tell he's not because of like the occasional
his horrible
aesthetic
taste
choice.
in music.
Yeah, the occasional aesthetic choice like that where you're like, oh, a gay person would have come up with it. I mean, he's probably not actually like personally choosing the music for the promos. That's just whatever bad taste straight person was on the marketing team. But I feel like They need a gay person in charge of this show. You can't just hand a Ryan Murphy show off to a straight guy.
Oh, yeah. Do you want Dr. Odyssey? Because this is how you get Dr. Odyssey.
Yeah, that's literally how you get Dr. Odyssey. Straightest show I've ever watched. Anyway, back to the story.
4 days later, the blackout has not like blown over.
No.
There's still ransomware everywhere. No explanation on the ransomware yet, by the way.
Not yet.
It's just some terrorists, I guess. And so
we hear that 15 people have already died from this blackout, which kind of makes sense if you have a blackout in a very hot environment or a very cold environment. Like,
they're mentioning it's like specifically a heat wave too. You know, like it's like a really intense heat wave. It's like actually very in the Heights core because of that. You know, like the blackout happening on like
wasn't
the
there a famous
year.
blackout in New York for like many days during a heat wave?
Are you talking about Summer of Sam?
Maybe. I thought it was a more recent one, maybe.
So there was the one in 2003 that inspired In the Heights.
Okay, I might be thinking of that.
Because Washington Heights was the last neighborhood to come back on because of the way the power grid was set up. However, in the 1970s, the Son of Sam killer was on the loose, and there was a blackout in New York during a time of extreme heat. And murder, and people went crazy and started killing each other. It's called the Summer of Sam. I don't know the story that well, but that's my basic understanding of it.
Yeah, that'll happen. And what we're getting from this situation is we've got the little montage of like heat wave, blackout, etc., and then we see at the Grant household, they are one of the lucky houses that has a generator. And therefore, while Michael, David, and Harry hold down the fort, they've basically organized like a giant block party where people are coming to their house to charge their phones and whatnot. And it's turned into like just a little neighborhood party. They're firing up the grill, they're drinking. It kind of seems fun. Like I would love to do this during a blackout. And Michael's on the phone with Athena. And she's like, you better not be having a party. And he's like, no, I'm not. While like one of his neighbors is like, hey, Michael, the grill's hot. Get those pork chops ready or whatever.
She literally says like, you better not be eating those steaks. Those were expensive. And he's like,
right.
Put these in the freezer. Put these in the freezer. Put these in the freezer. Yeah. And Harry, you know, he's at the party and he sets his phone down while he talks to Athena because he wants to say hi. Michael notices that in his phone case, he has one of those like wallet phone cases, and poking out of it is a chunk of cash. Turns out Harry is a little capitalist, a little exploitative capitalist.
He's a future startup. He's a future like Silicon Valley startup guy because he's been charging everyone $5 to get in the door, which yes, it's not very neighborly, but it is kind of smart. And his argument isn't terrible. He's like, well, people come in here and they get to charge their phone. They get all you can eat food. It's true. Like it's obviously unscrupulous of him, but he makes a good point.
Also that he does it behind Michael's back because Michael is apparently over here like the working class hero, like you know, this is everyone's power, this is everyone's food, this is everyone's water, and honestly it endeared me to Michael.
Yeah, no, I was
so endeared by this socialist king. He would go crazy designing buildings in Mamdanistan.
Exactly.
But meanwhile, Athena is on the job, and she gets called to the hospital because, as it turns out, Detective McFarty is alive. He lives!
Thus begins,
McFarty lives!
You guys, McFarty lives. Thus begins a crazy part of the episode, because you guys, McFarty was picked up 5 days ago, right, when some people found him bleeding from his neck, and the hospital
MacArthur Park. MacArthur's Park's melting in the dark. Oh, the sweet green icing floating down.
The hospital fixed him up. The hospital fixed him up, and somehow, in the 5 days that he has been in the hospital, no one has come to identify them. Apparently the hospital, he must have had no identification on him, which doesn't really make any sense. Like, did he not have his wallet or his badge or anything? And apparently, like, does he not have any friends or family to notice he was missing for 5 days? We go to, like, Athena goes to the station and she's talking to Maynard and she's like, he's been missing for 5 days. How did nobody notice? And Maynard's just like, oh, we've been busy, you know. It's like, that's one of your detectives and you didn't notice. They're trying to explain it away as like, oh, the blackout. And it's like, bro, this is a workplace. Like, even, I mean, it's like Karen was saying in the last episode, like we've come to take these automated systems for granted. But even if like your digital stuff is down, a workplace is still gonna set up like a timesheet on paper. Did you not notice that he wasn't showing up to any of his shifts? Like, well, does he not have like to does he not have
ineptitude?
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, this is some crazy incompetence from the LAPD.
And even more incompetence, like in the entire fucking justice system in general, because McFarty wasn't the only one missing.
Yes, oh my God. They do
a head count at jail, and it was only after the head count that they find out that Jeffrey has not been there the entire time. He was never even checked in. They didn't have any communication.
I forgot to even
communication.
Say, yeah. So at the end of the last episode, McFarty's like, yeah, Athena, don't worry. I just caught Jeffrey Hudson. I've got him in my car, right? And no, like, are there no checks and balances for like, okay, like, did no one communicate? They should have been expecting to receive this guy at some sort of, you know, jail, prison, holding facility. And again, I get it. It's a blackout. That does not mean you would just lose like a very, very wanted man, like a dangerous criminal who was on the loose. And nobody, like Athena hasn't bothered to be like, how's he doing in jail? They didn't know that either of them were, I just was flabbergasted. But that being said, you often hear in real life cases of dangerous serial killers, serial rapists, etc., you do hear about massive incompetence in local police departments. That said, like, this is the LAPD. They're huge. It just seems, it's just a ridiculous thing to happen.
I mean, if I was Elaine or I don't know, the warden of the jail, like, I would think that like McFarty and Jeffrey like ran off together like they were lovers or something.
Imagine if they tried to
jump
like
to conspiracy.
Imagine if they gave a press release like, yeah, we're pretty sure that's what happened. Just throwing both of them under the bus.
Like, it's slander, but at the same time, McFarty, as we know, has no friends or family. So maybe it would just be nice for him, like, in some fucked up way, coming out of this coma, to understand that, like, at least there's an idea that someone out there could love him.
Well, that was my first question. I was like, does he not have, like, a mom, a girlfriend, boyfriend, like spouse, roommate, buddy?
We don't see a ring on that finger, I think. You know, I don't think we see a ring.
It was just like, wow, nobody, like, it's really quite sad. You're like, wow, McFarty must have no one.
Imagine not having a work wife. Sad.
Well, I think it's supposed to be Athena, and it's like, what have you been doing for the last 4 days? I don't buy that Athena would not check in on, like, so, hey, how's our criminal doing?
Maybe they're not really close. Maybe they actually have some work-related tension that they bury, you know, in order to maintain professionalism. Maybe one time she hit on him and he said no because secretly he's gay.
I was going to say, what if one time before Michael came out to Athena, he actually had a torrid affair with McFarty, and that was like Athena's first, she kind of knew about it, but she didn't say anything, and she like had her suspicions, but she wanted to not believe it, you know? And so she's always had this residual resentment for him.
And so now it's like she can't even look at him, even though all of her resentment for Michael is gone and dead and buried. With his brain cancer, you know, she still has this lingering resentment and anger towards McFarty for, you know, fucking her man behind her back.
Yeah, his home-wrecking ways. That's definitely what happened, and I think we can go ahead and say that that's canon. But yes, they've lost. they lost Jeffrey. Jeffrey's on the loose again.
He's gone with the wind. Noticed.
Yes.
Nobody noticed. Nobody knows where he is or when he is or why he is, you know?
Or why he is. Yeah.
Or even who he is, really. The only person who knows who he is Athena because she's in his head, but more on that later. And no word on Lila, by the way, so they're going to go to her house.
Yes.
So they haven't heard from her. And then at the station, Chimney is having a very disappointing dinner because Bobby is making a buffet of powdered eggs.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, they're having to kind of, use basic rations because apparently they have a lot more mouths to feed because there's like emergency protocol put in place. I don't know if I think what they're saying is that it means like, oh yeah, all shifts are in the house until further notice. So like all firefighters are there at the same time, which is unusual. So they have to feed more people. And Chimney says something that really reinforces our idea that like the A shift just kind of, there's just like A shift supremacy in the 118 Firehouse because he's like, couldn't you set aside some of the good stuff for the A shift? It's like, wow, saying the quiet part out loud.
As he often does. We find out that they have to like cut down on like fuel usage, on resource usage because of the extended blackout. And so they're losing their fridge privileges. No one's immune to what's going on. Hen is basically sort of rebuffing him a little bit on his complaints. And he notices that she has a
portable charger,
a department-issued charging device that she's not allowed
He's
to
like,
share with anyone.
Can I use your charger? And she's like, no, I'm not allowed to share my department-issued charging device. You're going to have to find one yourself. And he goes, who issued you that? And she says, like, you're going to have to take it up with the power czar. Cut to... Somebody gave Buck a clipboard, you guys. Clipboard Buck is back, and he is the power czar. He's sitting next to Ravi, who he's apparently made his little lackey, classic dynamic. And he's like talking in these like crazy, like authoritarian, tone. He's like, power device will be issued to you, and the power whatever backup will recharge it for you. And Ravi's like, you can just say Ravi. Ravi will recharge it for you. The dehumanization is crazy.
Oh, poor sweet Ravi. My poor baby boy. He looks so good, all sweaty like this.
He's
they
cute.
get one charge per 24 hours, right? One charge per 24 hours, and
he's fed up
Buck
with
is
this
being
behavior.
Very strict with Chimney. Chimney, yes, he's very fed up, and so he says, "Give me a power brick, or Uncle Buck will never see his niece again."
Yes, he leverages his niece skills, his niece soft power that he has, and Buck acquiesces. So Chimney's like to Ravi, he's like, this is why you don't give him a clipboard. It's like, okay, we've officially become self-aware about clipboard Buck. I think that was already established.
Uncle Clipboard Buck. But in the meantime, who else? There should be another Dad Buck moment, because who should be arriving to the firehouse? But it's Christopher, who's free. Chris is free. He's not kidnapped in this episode.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Another fascinating thing to learn. And Ana Flores is in tow. She actually brought him along. He's coming by to see Eddie at work because he misses him because I guess he's on 24-hour duty until further notice because of the emergency.
Buck comes in and gives Chris this giant bear hug, like lifts him up. And I was already laughing because, like, imagine being Ana and coming in and just seeing that, like, oh, your boyfriend already has a wife and it's Buck.
Yeah, and Chris already has a co-parent, and Ravi.
Oh my god, this scene is crazy. Yeah, Ravi comes up. He's like, "Hey, I'm Ravi," and Ana just kind of.
You must be Eddie's wife. Like,
well, first of all, he gets introduced to Christopher, and
then, my god,
and then Ana just kind of like waits there awkwardly. Ravi waits there awkwardly. And Ana is like, I'm Ana. And you're like, oh my god, Eddie didn't even think to introduce her. Like, he really doesn't give a fuck.
Doesn't give a fuck. Meanwhile, by the way, as they're both like awkwardly standing there and looking at each other, did you pick up on something of a vibe between Rava and Ani? Ravi and Ana. Rava and Ani? Ravani.
You know,
Ravani.
I didn't exactly, but they are like looking at each other and yeah, it's because they're supposed to look at each other awkwardly while they wait for Eddie to introduce Anna, but they do kind of, it results in a bit of a like, they're lingering looking at each other, and maybe, yeah, I feel like they have a little physical chemistry because there's just like, yeah, a bit of a spark there.
And they're also both really hot.
They are both really hot. But speaking of sparks, throughout this scene, as things start to get weird, you know, as things start to get awkward, you see this look on Buck's face. Like, he's just like, what on earth is going on right now? And because he's clocking, right? He's clocking everybody's tea. And he is clearly, like, we keep panning back to Buck. Panning is actually the word I mean. They keep panning over to Buck, who is giving such a, like, unsubtle, confused face. So it's like, yes, he is picking up on Eddie being too gay to date a beautiful woman.
They're not cutting back to Buck?
Well, they're doing a little of both. They'll cut, and then they'll also, like, be on Ravi and then pan over to Buck. They do it, like, twice at least.
Okay. But the important thing is, Ravi puts his foot in his mouth by saying to Anna, you must be Eddie's wife. You must be.
Nobody liked that. Yeah.
Nobody liked that.
No. And finally, sitting in the awkwardness, Eddie is just kind of like, Ravi, why don't you show my girlfriend around the station? Because I'm too gay to do it. I need to go spend time with my son and my wife. But
the insanity of this man. And then Anna is like obviously so, you know, skeeved out by this, but you know, she's the most kind, beautiful woman in the world. And so she'll just go along with it. And I feel so bad for her. Like, girl, this man's going to ruin your life. You're not going to recover from this for like 2 years. Yeah,
just ask Ravi if he's single. He definitely is.
He definitely is. He's too busy to date because he's managing his properties. Ugh.
Right. But you know what? He's probably going to be independently wealthy. You know, if you can get over the moral qualms with dating a landlord, you know, maybe it'll set you up. And he's hot. Okay, so now the SWAT team is en route to, I think, the lawyer's house, right?
Yeah, it's Lila's house. They burst out of the armored truck that they arrive in, as they often do.
Right, they're looking for Jeffrey, but of course there's no sign of him. But they do find the dead body of the lawyer, who, it's funny, they introduce it as that thing of like, hey, Athena and Maynard, I think you're gonna want to see this. It's like, well, yeah, I do. She's dead. Hey guys, so funny story, that's Boggy in the background. Funny story, Ryan's mic decided to cut out for like 10 minutes at this point. So unfortunately, you know, that's 10 minutes of his audio that we'll never get back. So instead, I will just try and recap what we missed here. The cops show up at Lila's house and they find Lila dead, the lawyer from the previous episode, and basically Athena and Maynard deduce that she too was under Jeffrey's spell. And then we cut to a very differently toned scene where finally the zoo animals from the opening of season 5 are back. The 118 have been called to some sort of animal related emergency, and there's a bit of a buddy moment where Buck is really concerned and is listing all the zoo animals, and Eddie explains that it's because he takes Christopher to the zoo a lot. And at this point, me and Ryan got into an argument about whether or not it's fair to be afraid of chimps ripping your face off because of that one time a chimp ripped a lady's face off. But luckily, that was about all we missed out on in those 10 minutes because we're such efficient podcasters. Okay. Bye.
So I don't think you're gonna miss anything in the edit of what I said, because what happened was I finished my sentence and then like does OBS ever do this to you where it'll just like randomly like shut off the screen or something and you'll swipe back to it and you'll have to recalibrate your mic in OBS?
No, because I don't use OBS to record this podcast because that's insane.
Why is it so insane? Why is it so insane?
It's weird that you record a screen recording of your entire screen and computer audio rather than just using like an audio interface application in the first place.
I don't have the screen display up. You just get a black screen.
I know, but it exports as an MP4. Then I have to download that entire MP4 and just rip your audio from it, which is fine, but your files would be so much smaller if you were just recording an MP3.
Well, okay. You know what? I'm not going to have this debate with you. Let's go to the Google Drive right now. Let's go to the drive right now and see how much bigger my most recent MP4 was than your most recent MP3. Jane's MP3 audio, 106 megabytes. Ryan's MP4 audio, 156 megabytes. It's a 50 megabyte difference.
All right.
Penny pinching.
I thought it was bigger for some reason.
50 megabyte difference.
But
Jane
okay,
Mulcahy.
to be clear, my problem is not like primarily with the file size. I did bring that up, so yeah, you win. But my problem is primarily just with how like roundabout it is of you to use OBS instead of like getting Audacity. You don't have to like learn how to use Audacity. You just like press record.
I don't have a defense for this. Other than it's what I know. But I feel like that's also all the defense I need.
Yeah, whatever. You're used to it. But let's just get on with this episode. So
anyways, so this kid got fucking spat in the face by an alpaca and Ivan's in the room. Okay? Ivan's in the room and they have to go get him. So a kid was like
at work and an alpaca attacked, and his boss is still back like getting attacked by an alpaca. So Hen and Bobby go in to find this guy, and yes, they see the culprit. It's an alpaca. Hen, with her random store of random knowledge, is like, I know what's happening here. It's berserk syndrome. And Bobby's like, what is that? And this is a real thing. So reading from Wikipedia, the best source in the world, berserk llama syndrome, usually shortened to BLS, I guess it can happen to alpacas too, is a psychological condition experienced by human-raised camelids, particularly llamas and alpacas, that can cause them to exhibit dangerously aggressive behavior toward humans. The term has been overused, however, and is sometimes inappropriately applied to llamas with aggressive personalities that are not truly, quote-unquote, berserk.
Right, so it's like Stockholm Syndrome, kind of, for the llamas, but like reverse, where it just makes them angry.
But it's like a real thing, though.
Is
so
Stockholm Syndrome not a real thing? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was propaganda, as a matter of fact. It was created by some incompetent cops to like justify their poor response to a hostage situation. The more you know. The more TIL. But yes, it's a result. So BLS is a result of overexposure of a juvenile llama to humans, which it's just like, this is what I meant. This is just like the Travis thing, which results in the llama imprinting on its human handlers to such a degree that it considers them to be fellow llamas. Imprinting can be caused by bottle feeding, which is utilized due to, they call it a cria. I guess that's what a juvenile llama is, or alpaca. Due to a cria rejecting its mother's milk, or when there is insufficient maternal milk supply. Another contributing factor is isolation from other llamas. So when the cria reaches maturity, the llama cannot distinguish humans from other llamas and may try to demonstrate its dominance. Adult male inter-llama interaction can be rough, including chest ramming, charging, leg wrestling, and biting, and they are strongly territorial.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to make a joke about like heated rivalry.
Properly socialize the llamas. You're trying to make a joke about what?
I'm trying not to make a joke about like heated rivalry after reading that.
Oh. I thought you were going to make like a llamas and hats reference or something. Do you remember that? Do you remember llamas and hats?
I sure don't.
Carl. It was by the guy who made Candy Mountain back in the day. So
apparently it's like when they're
element.
Isolated from other llamas and they're too dependent on humans, they'll start to see you as a llama and therefore exhibit llama level aggression onto you. Which I'm not saying that's exactly what happened to Travis the chimp, because it sounds like this is a llama and alpaca exclusive syndrome, but it makes me think like, oh, I wonder if with a lot of wild animals, maybe overexposure to humans and isolation from other animals like them can cause them to behave in unpredictable ways.
So there's an element of this scene that is important to note, which is that it's framed like a horror movie, but not like a horror movie, like specifically a Spielberg style horror movie. Because
Yes,
immediately with the flashlights and the helmets and like the way that the show is shot and scored, you are getting immediate E.T. vibes, like the kid meeting E.T. for the first time.
Yes, it is. This entire scene is a blatant reference to Jurassic Park. It gets pretty silly. They're trying to bribe the alpaca away with some corn chips. Which kind of works.
Bobby mentions Reese's Pieces, which also adds to the
yes,
E.T. thing. It's just like a Spielberg
reference.
mishmash. Yeah.
Yes, which is kind of silly. But they're trying to bribe it away, and then like an alarm goes off and startles the llama, or alpaca, makes them more aggressive, and then it stops attacking. And Bobby's like, "Why did it stop?" And then they realize it was calling its friend. So Hen goes, "Clever girl." I have to say, love Aisha Hines. I feel like we are often talking about how great of an actress she is. I do not think she sold the delivery of clever girl at all. She just kind of like says it like she's reading the words off a page. She doesn't say like, you know, like the guy does in the movie. Like you got to be like to the alpaca. You got to be, you're giving it credit for outsmarting you.
No,
so
I
maybe
agree.
that's a direction problem.
I agree. It did feel a bit like she was reading off the teleprompter at like at an awards show or something.
She just
and,
says like clever girl. And it's like, no, you have to be like clever girl.
But I also, I don't want to pin it all on Aisha. I'm going to be honest. I don't think the alpaca was selling it either.
Who
no
directed this
to the
alpaca? Bradley? Maybe Bradley, whatever his name is, hasn't worked with a lot of animal performers.
I'm just saying that this alpaca would not get nominated for Best Supporting Actor at
Best Supporting Alpaca.
The best what was that award show recently where the dog was nominated?
Won. I forget.
Where the dog won. Yeah. I was having a whole heated debate with my coworker Nick, who's like a big cinephile, about the ethics of that. And I'm like, well, the dog's an actor, right? So why shouldn't he be eligible? And he's like, because it's human awards. I'm like, oh, so you're a vegetarian who doesn't think highly of animals? Sus. It was a whole thing.
Right. And if you try to establish like an animal only awards show, then is that like functionally segregation?
Segregation, yeah. I will say though, this alpaca, like these alpacas are even like a good visual match for both the velociraptors and ET, because they have like that sort of golden brown coloring with like the black eyes. And the bloody mouth is like doing a lot of like work here to sell the it's so camp, and I love this scene. It's so funny to me.
It's very funny.
Bobby makes like a soy jack face as they're running away.
yeah and we don't really see the conclusion of this. They run outside, and then they run into Buddie when they're like, you know, packing up the fire engine to get out of there, and Buck's like, you ran away from an alpaca? And Bobby's like, 2 alpacas, and there was no running or whatever.
And Buddy's like, okay. I mean, you do have that, like, I know that Berserk syndrome is like a real thing, and like animal aggression is real. But at the same time, like, I hate to say it, it is an animal, right? Like, you couldn't have just handled that. Humans have been handling alpacas for thousands of years, and Bobby Nash, Midwest princess, couldn't handle it.
True. You have like specific people, you know, who they dedicate their lives to being alpaca handlers. You can't expect any old fire captain to know exact. Although it is true that in his in Bobby Begins Again, we see him handle that chicken situation, the cockfighting situation, which. You know,
and cockfighting is normally Tommy's job because he's gay.
So yeah, you would think he'd be able to kind of just handle this alpaca in the same way that he handled that chicken. But, you know, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. This was reminding me of that Lifetime movie I watched for my Lifetime Christmas video, Christmas on the Alpaca Farm. Because I was thinking, like, man, somebody get out the shears. You're leaving money on the table, not taking some of that beautiful fleece.
Isn't that what Zach said in that episode of Zach and Cody? Like, why llamas? The real money's in alpacas or something. As a kid, I think that was.
But that sounds like a good joke.
As a kid, that was like the first time I ever heard about alpacas. I'd never heard about that before. And then we moved, and one of our neighbors just had an alpaca.
Yeah. But Chimney gives one final Jurassic Park reference. He's about to drive the ambulance away, and he goes, "After careful consideration, I've chosen not to endorse this park." And also, as they're driving away, we see they must be close to some themed attraction. We don't know enough about the geography of Los Angeles to know what it is, but we can see over like the horizon, over a building, there's like a big plastic T-Rex like smiling down at the events.
And on the ground, you have a full rhinoceros. Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh. So then we go from the animal invasion, the all too brief animal invasion, getting it back on track, to this kid who is fully intubated through his like a hole in his throat in Blackout City. His mom is taking care of him, and he's just there like, "I don't want to play this stupid movie game, Mom. I want to get this tube out of my throat." And his ventilator, pardon the expression, is on its last breath.
Yeah, this is a fun 911 scenario. It kind of reminds me of like in past opening season disasters, we have occasionally gotten like, you'll have all the big crazy action set pieces and your kind of main disasters and some individual disasters, and then often they'll do like a heartwarming one, and this is that moment where we have this kid who's on a ventilator. I'm not really sure like what medical situation somebody would be in to be on an at-home ventilator, but seemingly not like in a hospice situation, I hope. But the kid's
they
on
mention
a ventilator.
It's like an infection, like a bad respiratory infection or something like that. So maybe he has maybe he has TB or something like that.
Damn.
Consumption, as it used to be called back in the day.
Not having consumption in 2021, that would suck.
During the summer of Sam of all times.
Yeah, during the summer of Sam, no less. Ugh, when you're like hot and sweaty and you have consumption, I would hate that. And you can't even like play video games because the power's out. So Luke or whatever his name is, he has consumption. So he's got this ventilator, and he's not in a great mood because again, it's hard to be a child with consumption. He's like not up for playing with his mom, and she's like, "Well, let
me call May. Let me call May."
Well, what happens is, they're talking about like, when's the power going to be back on? She's like, they don't know yet. And then she hears like a noise coming from the like body of the ventilator. She looks over, low battery notice. She's like, this isn't good. We don't have a generator. So she calls 911. May answers, and she's like, my son's on a ventilator and it's almost out of battery. What do I do? May's like, we'll get someone to you. She looks over. They've got like a big whiteboard with presumably similar people on it, like in a list, like this. And this is, you don't think about like, anyone who's on any sort of like automated life-saving device, this would be a big problem, a citywide blackout. So they're like, we'll get help to you, but it's going to be like an hour. And the mom's like, we don't have an hour. She starts bagging him because the ventilator fully loses power and shuts off. So she has to, we were also puzzled with what this is called in the last episode, but she gets that like breather bag attached to his ventilator instead.
Yes. And so May is looking down at all like the, I guess, priorities that are in front of her, and then this random song starts playing, and she goes into the aerial. She gets inspired. She gets a stroke of inspiration. She just says sun, and then she goes into like a bird's eye view Google Maps of the neighborhood, and she finds a lone neighboring house with a shit ton of solar panels.
Yes.
Solar panels. So she calls the house through the yellow pages or whatever. Actually, she calls the woman's phone, like her cell phone, which is, I don't know how she has that, but it's fine.
Yeah, and of course the call shows up as like 911, and this woman answers, and she's like, if this is a scam call or whatever, like, you guys are going to hell. Like, karma's coming for you. But of course May's like, ma'am, this is 911. Do you have solar panels? She's like, yeah. She's like, do you have power? She's like, yeah. Who's asking? And she says, one of your neighbors has this kid who needs his ventilator and it's out of power. We need to borrow your battery. And she's like,
I'm the neighbor.
Okay.
I'm the neighbor. I have solar panels, power, and braces. I'm sorry. I could not comment on the braces. Does she have braces? She has braces, yeah.
I guess I missed that. Wow. Do I even watch this show?
It throws me for a loop sometimes when I see adults with... Not... Okay. If any of our listeners are adults with braces...
Ryan Kearns discriminating against adults with braces.
I noticed the braces. I'm sorry. I noticed the braces, and there's no Albert.
I can't believe you're being bracebalist right now.
I kind of am, yeah. Jesus Christ.
I say good on this show for employing an actress who has adult braces.
It's hard to get a role, It's hard to get a role when you have braces. So.
But a heartwarming moment happens when the whole neighborhood mobilizes to like connect all their extension cords together to reach over several houses to this woman's house. I don't really know, like, power-wise, like...
If you lose anything?
Can you just connect a shit ton of power cords without it being, like, either overloading and, like, shorting out or, losing any of the power? I don't know.
I don't think it's advised, but, like, it's certainly...
It's an emergency,
in an emergency scenario, I guess. Yeah. But, yeah, it could start a fire, I imagine.
Then, like, right at the end, they can't quite... There's, like, a 1 yard... Not like 1 yard of measurement, but like one backyard of space, and they've run out of cords. They can't quite reach across. And finally, this woman's like, "Oh, I've got it!" And I think she runs over and grabs some like Christmas lights.
Yeah, some like yard lights or something.
I really don't know. Is that how that works? Can you just plug in like a double-sided like thing of Christmas lights, and that can function as an extension cord?
So long as you get an electrical current through it, I don't see why not.
That's cool.
But yeah, I feel like you would lose a significant amount of power in doing so because it doesn't seem like a particularly thick wire. I don't know. It works.
Ooh, I could experiment with this right now. I have some of those Christmas lights that have like the double-sided, like in my room, that have like the pluggy in part of the plug and the get plugged into part of the plug. Nice. I'm actually an electrician in my spare time, as you can tell by my expertise. Let me plug it in. So if I have those plugged in and then put like my computer charger into that socket, let me see if it charges. We got power. Ooh, that's cool.
We got power.
So I have Christmas lights plugged into my power strip, and then like the Christmas lights little socket has a socket on it, and so I have my computer charger plugged into the socket on the Christmas lights that is plugged into the power strip. I'm gonna unplug this because just in case, I don't want it to like set on fire.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because while you were doing that, I created a wire that on one end was like the pluggy in bit, and on the other end was also the pluggy in bit, and I connected it to 2 separate outlets, and now my entire apartment is on fire.
I thought this was going to be some convoluted way to say you made like a gay power strip.
Well, it is a gay power strip, and God rejected it, so I'm currently burning in hell.
Well,
with Satan,
along with the gay power strip. Oh, that's too bad. Well, I hope you can still make it through.
With gay buddy.
I hope you're still available to record the final like 15 minutes of coverage of this episode.
Oh yeah, I got good coverage down here. It's good.
Oh, good.
I got Verizon.
Great. the provider of hell, as we all know.
Yes.
So it's a heartwarming moment. The whole neighborhood came together to get this woman power for the ventilator, and May's like, you got some pretty good neighbors, happy to help. Yeah, that's our heartwarming moment of the episode.
And her shitty son grows a trachea, and everyone lives happily ever after. Now, back at the fire station, the sun has risen.
Who gives a shit about the
time.
child on the ventilator? It's buddy time.
It's specifically sweaty Eddie buddy time with clipboard
Sweaty
Buck.
Eddie. Dude, this scene is crazy. I wrote this down in my buddy notes, like when I was first watching the show and keeping a notes tab for it. I had a part of my notes dedicated to Buddy, and I wrote something about like, it's crazy that Eddie's lying prone on his back with like an arm. He's wearing just like a black wife beater, and he's got his arm thrown over his face in a very dramatic way. You can see like his slutty little armpit. And Buck comes over and just sits next to him and is like, how are you feeling? Well, Eddie just kind of beautifully, arm thrown over his face, like face back. He's like, I'm trying to sleep. And Buck is quizzing him on his health. He's like still worried about the cardiologist thing because he's his wife. And he's like, are you having any like shortness of breath? Like, are you breaking out in a cold sweat? Like, are you having a heart attack? And Eddie's like, I'm fine. Buck's like, people who are fine don't go to see cardiologists. And so Eddie finally, his wife's nagging is getting to him. So he's like, fine, I had a panic attack, not a heart attack. And gets into that.
And Buck's like, you don't panic. You don't panic. And he's like, I don't panic.
This myth that Eddie doesn't panic. He's like, yeah, I know. I don't. I'm straight. But I guess I did this one time. And Buck's like, let's unpack that a little. Because he's like, what was it because you got shot last year? Like, that's pretty anxiety inducing. And Eddie's like, yeah, I actually don't think it had anything to do with that. I think it's because I have a girlfriend. And Buck's like, And like mentally he's taking 1,000 notes about this. But he's like, I think it's because of Anna. She's great. And she's been such a godsend looking after Christopher, like, especially during this time when I have to be at work all the time. But it's like we've become this ready-made family. And I don't know if I'm ready for that or if I'll ever be, which so funny.
I don't know if I'm Eddie for that.
He's not Eddie for that. And this is such a funny thing for him to say when it's like, Eddie became a ready-made family with Buck like 2 weeks after meeting him, right? And that's fine.
That was different. He's actually attracted to Buck. He's actually attracted to him. So, that's a whole different scenario. What's happening is that Eddie's seeing his entire life flash before his eyes, and he's having this existential horror because he doesn't realize in his body that he doesn't actually want to spend his life with a woman. But he's like, well, my kid loves her. And Buck very reasonably goes, is that enough? Is that a good reason to want to start a life with someone?
Yeah, like marry someone. No.
Like, obviously the answer is no.
And then this is even more buddylicious because Buck is like, I know what it's like to be that person. I've been Anna. I know what it's like to be in love with someone who doesn't love you back. And obviously in canon, he's talking about Abby. But I think it's really interesting to have this scene where he's like in front of a sexy looking Eddie and he's kind of looking into his eyes, pleading. And he's like, I know, I've been Anna. I've been your girlfriend. What a crazy thing to say to your homie. I've been your girlfriend. That's what he says. I know what it's like to be in love with someone who doesn't love you back. It's just like out of context. If you saw this not knowing about Abby, you would think that this is just Buck like giving Eddie a barely veiled love confession. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. Abby. His fiance's Abby.
Abby.
Okay. And we...
Okay.
And so we leave it on this dissonant note of Buck's, sort of venting his own heartbreak and anguish over Eddie's reluctance to start a life with this woman. And
I guess I just want to believe that he's not actually talking about Abby here. He's just like totally projecting his feelings for Eddie.
Canon is what you make of it. Canon is whatever you want it to be, and I think that's a beautiful thing, and I support your journey, and I'm right there beside you on it.
Thank you.
Now, granted, both of the Buckleys are having a hard time because Chimney Han, who we all know and love, is leaving a message for his beloved postpartum stricken wife, who is not answering the phone. She's not answering the phone. Hen comes over and is like, how's it going, buddy? And he's like, I'm just worried about Maddie and G. And Hen says, come take a seat, kid. Let's talk about things. Right?
Yeah, and I feel like this conversation implies that Hen was previously not aware of Maddie having postpartum depression. She makes it sound like nobody knows, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is him telling her for the first time. That was a bit of a surprise to me, because Maddie's like not been working, and like, does that mean even Buck doesn't know? Because Hen says like, oh, so nobody knows. I had never really noticed this. Yeah, on previous watches that apparently this was being kept a secret.
Yeah, I mean, like, because it does seem like the kind of thing that they, like in their own heads would want to keep private to themselves.
Yeah, no, that's in real life. It would be understandable to not tell your entire workplace, but on this show, they do tend to tell each other everything.
Well, I feel like it kind of bit him in the ass not telling Hen, at least, because Hen gives him a piece of wisdom, which is, stop trying to fix her,
Yeah, stop hovering. You need to be her partner, not like... Yeah, not such
it's like this is a mutual project, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're not like a project manager, like you're in it with her.
She's not one of your patients, she says at one point.
Yeah. Now, there is kind of like a dissonance here in that, like, it almost seems like he's getting this wisdom or this information too late, because we cut from that heartwarming moment of friendship and hope for the future. Oh, to this scene, Maddie is giving G a bath, and
very
she
tiredly
is
giving G a bath,
exhausted, running on not even fumes at this point. Like, she's just like, it's only like the momentum of gravity taking the car downhill at this point. And she's like talking to G a little bit. She's like, I can't wait to show you the ocean for the first time, etc. And she starts to drift off, and her grip on the baby loosens, and G falls underneath the water, and she's there submerged for several seconds.
We're not really sure, and Maddie is not sure how long, but she kind of snaps awake and sees G like crying under the water. So at least, she did not like fall unconscious or anything, so it can't have been more than a few seconds. But she obviously anguished pulls the baby out and tries to calm her down, and
apologizes to the baby as she cries and everything. It's so hard to watch. It's so difficult.
And then we next see that Maddie has brought G to the hospital. She's getting checked out. The doctor comes out and is like, no, everything seems fine, like, if anything changes, take her back, but she doesn't look like she inhaled any water or anything. You should just get home and get some rest. And we can see that Maddie... She didn't hit her head or anything. Yeah, we can see that Maddie obviously is very, very shaken by the experience. But there's also this moment at the end of this scene where the doctor says to her, like, trust me, I know from experience, it's every time they have an accident like this, it's just, I aged about 10 years. And you kind of see... I interpreted this as like Maddie hears that and it kind of just overwhelms and exhausts her all the more, because she's already feeling so exhausted by motherhood at the moment that maybe this idea of like, oh, well, don't worry, it'll happen a million more times in the future, probably just makes her feel all the worse of like, oh, this is never going to end. So yeah, the doctor just instructs her to go home.
Isn't that what everyone wants to hear? That's what everyone wants to hear.
Right.
For as bad as you feel now, you're going to feel this way and worse like a million more times.
An infinite
until you
number
die.
of times. Yeah, that's kind of... The doctor's probably trying to reassure her that, like, oh, this is normal. It happens. Parenthood is full of this kind of thing. But yeah, I think they're communicating that to Maddie. That sounds like, oh, my misery will never end. Or, like, I'll always feel this kind of guilty and horrible about being a mom.
I hope that doesn't lead her to some very dangerous and dark places down the road.
Yeah, it's just sad. It's like, and it is like, if Maddie's so exhausted that she's like falling asleep in precarious situations, like bathing the baby, it's like, okay, she does probably need more help, but she chooses to address this in rather than going out to ask for more help. She kind of deals with it by herself in a way that is...
Yeah. Maddie at this point feels somewhat far removed from the narrative as a whole, doesn't she?
Yeah, which in a way kind of works for me because I think it helps communicate like how isolated she feels in that
Yeah.
she's kind of just struggling with this on the sides of the story and like nobody seemingly really knows how bad it's getting for her. I feel like that kind
Yeah.
of works.
I agree with that. It's hard because like I love Maddie so much and I want her
Yeah.
to be an active player in the story. But again, like I do really appreciate this storyline. It's just it's a toughie to watch
It's a
this
toughie to
person
watch,
that
and
you
also,
love
like-
go through such a difficult time in her life.
Yeah, and also it necessarily involves her leaving the show for a while. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you're like, I'm about to miss Maddie for a while.
Yeah, but okay, so we're in the last stretch. Let's pick up the pace. Okay, so Athena is stalking Jeffrey's victims to basically use them as bait to catch him, and she's got other cops stationed at their other
She and
houses.
Maynard have made the intentional decision not to tell the victims that Jeffrey's back on the loose. Instead, they're gonna use them as bait and stake out their houses and hope that Jeffrey shows up. Which, like, I get it, and also, why can't the women be in on it? Can they just say, like, don't worry, we'll stake out your house, just stay at home and do your thing? Feels a little cruel to not tell them at all.
Especially since you're like actively looking into their house with binoculars, and
Yeah,
they're at
that
home
also
none the
feels a little-
wiser. Like
yeah.
this surveillance that's happening. Like
They don't get
imagine
to
you're
know
home
that-
and you think you're alone, and like they catch you in like an
Ugh.
embarrassing moment. You know, like
they're
you're
gonna
walking
see
around with
you,
no
like,
shirt
eating
on
shredded
or-
cheese out of the bag at 3:30 in the morning.
imagine you bring a friend over, and you're having some fun, and meanwhile Athena Grant is just there like, ooh, let me get in on this. I can't wait to see how this turns out. You know,
Elaine, you've got to see this.
we're taking bets to see who finishes first. She is a lesbian. I knew it. And Bobby
Well-
is co-signing this seemingly.
Yes, Bobby's on the phone and he's like, that all sounds great, babe. I support you. Which presumably is supposed to be, showing their development from season 4. Like he says at one point, because Athena says, like, is it bad that I almost am hoping he shows up, like, so that I can get him? And Bobby's like, no, I want that for you too. And she's like, wow, that's the sweetest thing you could have said to me. And yeah, I think it's supposed to be like resolution for their thing in season 4. It's showing that they've grown and Bobby can let her do her thing now without being so worried. At the same time, though, he says to her, he's like, I support you. Just this time, don't aim for his leg or whatever. Like, this time, don't shoot him in the leg. And Athena's like, oh, don't worry. I'm going to aim higher this time. And I'm going to empty that whole clip, which I was like, girl, your body cam better not be on because this is some crazy incriminating. Like, she's just saying, like, yeah, I'm going to murder this guy when I find him. I'm not going to give
Just
him
fully
due process.
conspiring with like a member,
Another,
another
like,
member
city
of like
official,
a city,
yeah.
like a high-ranking city official at that. So we're conspiring to murder this. Granted, we know cartoonishly awful person, Helmstever, still ostensibly private civilian. Granted, one that is implicated in a string of horrendous crimes, but.
Well, it's like we were
like,
saying last episode. It's like just because, like, someone could be a terrible monster and they are still entitled to due process, and you can't bend the rules for one bad guy because then there are no rules for all the, like, not bad guy. The majority of people who are just trying to move through the legal system and, like, have their rights respected. You can't just give, you can't pick and choose about who gets civil rights in the justice system.
So, on that note, Captain Maynard, Elaine shows up and basically relieves Athena of duty for the night because McFarty is awake. Now, before she sends her
he's
off,
asking for her.
Before she sends her off, I just had to note in my notes, imagine if Elaine was also one of the groupies. Just imagine it. Imagine it.
No, that'd be a great
twist. The twist it would be. And she conspired to kill McFarty with Lila to get him out of there.
And that's why she didn't raise the alarm when he was missing for 5 days, because she didn't want him to be found. Then that would actually make sense. God.
She's the woman on the inside.
We should be running this show.
We should be running this show, but they would never let us because they have to maintain a good relationship with the police, I guess.
Yeah.
They can't make no
We'd
name
have Athena
Elaine
like
Maynard
blow up the police
guy.
department in our first episode. Yes, so Athena
that is
rushes to the
that is
hospital.
kind of what you did in your Ideal season 9 a little bit, isn't it? Villainous Maynard.
Oh yeah, that's right. With like the doomed Yuri element. I forgot about that. Wow. Yeah, so Athena shows up at the hospital. She hears from the doctor like he's awake. He seems to still have his cognitive function, but he still can't speak. So he's just writing on a notepad for now. So Athena comes in. She's like, good to see you, McFarty. Sorry, I didn't notice you were missing for 5 days. And so he starts writing on this notepad. He's like, lawyer, ? And she says, yeah, she's dead. And don't worry, I already figured out she was in on it.
She's recapping the episode to him previously on 911.
He's been out. Yeah. So then he writes Hudson ? And I was like, oh, he must be a fan of Crave Original Heated Rivalry. Do you like
he
that
wants
one,
those
Ryan?
updates. He wants those updates.
I came up with that
was
joke
so
for
good.
you.
Thank you, Jane.
Yes.
Thank
He's
you.
like, Hudson ? Athena's like, sorry, I don't follow him on Instagram. I'm not sure. No, Jeffrey Hudson is his name. And she's like, he's on the
I think he just
again.
met the Prime Minister of Canada on the red carpet, actually. And he put his leg around him.
Right. Well, Athena must not be up to date. So the guy writes, he's like, victims ? And Athena's like, don't worry, we think that's our best chance of catching him. We have units posted at all the victims' houses. And McFarty, I forgot his name for a moment, it's McFarty, he goes, your house? And she's like, what do you mean my house? Like, that's not important. And he says he manages to
says,
speak.
You're a victim too.
And at this point, you're like, oh my God, more incompetent policing. Because what do you mean? Nobody considered, least of all Athena, nobody considered the fact that she also, that even if I think they're trying to explain it away as like, oh, throughout this storyline, Athena hasn't always thought of herself as a victim of Jeffrey. And that's been like a hurdle for her to overcome. But like, you wouldn't even think, even if you don't want to consider yourself one of his victims, you know that he has a reason to go to your house, like regardless.
Like a vendetta,
he has a vendetta against you. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, they are all so stupid. Athena is stupid for not thinking of this. Maynard is stupid for not thinking of this. This is insane. They didn't decide to post anyone up at her house.
Athena Grant, the stupidest woman in LA. I
don't want to say that because she's wonderful Angela Bassett. It's more like she is a cop and therefore it has made her stupid. But back at the Grant house, that's our twist is, Jeffrey's going to come to her house. And at the Grant household, Michael's having a cup of whiskey.
At the Grant household, the party ended an hour ago and everyone's still here.
Yeah, oh my God, nobody's fucking leaving because they're, they don't want to leave the place with the generator and the drinks and the grilled meats. And then we see in the backyard, Harry, Athena's little son Harry, is playing Jenga with Jeffrey Hudson.
Great game.
Great game, but not with this guy.
I don't know.
And Harry is none the wiser.
Wouldn't you play Jenga with this guy? Wouldn't you play Jenga with him? I'd like to know his strategy.
Because like when you beat him, it's going to feel so much better because you know he's a terrible person. That's a crazy question, Ryan. That's like asking me, would I play Jenga with Jeffrey Epstein? No, Ryan. No, I wouldn't.
I just had to note like a fun production thing here. I like seeing the seams of like production stuff. And so you see the Jenga tower and like it seems to be like a mid-game development. Where like a lot of the pieces are already stacked on top. I don't have to explain Jenga, but the point is that then they do a reverse shot revealing Jeffrey, and then they cut back to Harry, and like the Jenga tower is fresh. It's fresh. Wow. So, just pointing it out for documentation purposes. These things need to be spoken about, otherwise they will continue in perpetuity.
Back. Yeah, pretty bad continuity error, to be honest. Yeah. But I hadn't noticed. But eagle-eyed observers like Ryan will notice.
Thank you.
So
Thank
Athena,
you. I have glasses.
Athena is racing. Yeah, true. Athena's racing back to her house. She calls Bobby. Bobby gets in the car and races to her house. Again, she's just like Bobby too. This is crazy that both of them didn't think of this. Athena's like, I was so busy thinking about Jeffrey's other victims, I forgot. And Bobby goes, you're one of them too. It's like neither of you even considered this after he was like roasting you in court a few days ago. You didn't think maybe he'd want to drive to your house and fuck up your family?
I mean, he was speaking with such venom. You wouldn't think that he has like sort of lingering resentment towards you that he might enact in a
right,
like incredible bout of anger,
I guess,
and violence. Now, instead, so Athena gets home first, and she kicks down the door. Right, the house is all black and
pulled.
dim. She's got her gun. It's empty, right? And immediately you're thinking, did he fucking rapture everyone? Did he tie all of their hair to like a twig and like ring a bell, and they all fell under his command? And it's like, no, he actually unplugged the generator. The power went out and everyone left because they didn't actually like Michael and David. They just wanted I
love the implied
power.
Passage of time in this part of the episode makes it seem like the generator must have gone off, and within like 4 minutes, everyone just up and left. They were like, fuck this, truly. But
they
anyway,
only got 4 minutes to save the world.
Athena like, kicks
almost
open a door.
murders Michael.
Yes,
That's what happens.
Michael suddenly pops out of the darkness, and yes, Athena fully ready to shoot him, and he's like, don't shoot, it's me, it's your ex-husband. Imagine if she just shot anyway.
Out.
Imagine if she was like, I know. That'd be crazy.
This is for what you did with McFarty. But David plugs the generator back in. The power comes back on. And so it's like, okay, I guess everything's fine. And we got everyone out of our house.
But that's a revelation
How nice.
in itself. They're like, it didn't run out of gas. Somebody unplugged it. So that's a little ominous. And then finally Athena's like, where's Harry? Harry's in the kerfuffle. No one noticed Harry slipping away with Jeffrey because, oh my God. Everybody shows up, like Maynard and Bobby shows up, and yeah, Harry's missing. His phone is still there, but he's not. And then
playing
we see
Jenga with Jeffrey Epstein. Who do you think you are?
I would not personally. I'm gonna go on record on the First Risk podcast and say, were he still alive and I had the opportunity, I would say no to playing Jenga with Epstein.
I would say no. Here's what I would do. I would accept the game of Jenga, and then while we're playing, I would like poison the Jenga blocks that he chose. So then when he went to touch
seep
them,
through his fingers, he
would die. Exactly.
And you would like analyze his behavior over a matter of months so that you could exactly predict which Jenga pieces he had the highest probability of choosing, and you would poison only those Jenga pieces. But the final stinger of the episode we get is Jeffrey is trying to like drive. I'm not sure if he's like trying to drive out of a certain place or into a certain place, but he gets stopped by a cop who's like, sorry, residents only. And so he flashes a badge, presumably, maybe it's he stole McFarty's badge and that's why they couldn't identify McFarty. So he flashes a badge at the cop and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, detective. Like, you go ahead. You can never be too careful. And he's like, thanks. Like, have a good night. Drives through. And then we see this great shot. We go to the back of his car and we like pull into the headlight. And it's like we go through the trunk and then we see that Harry is like bound and duct taped in the back of the car. Very harrowing.
So the episode ends on that harrowing shot of Harry in the trunk with his hands bound and his mouth gagged, and it's the whole thing. He's in the trunk being kidnapped by Jeffrey.
And I think I would agree with you that this is a pretty good episode, even if we're gonna get like the weird chop stuff in the next episode.
Oh,
this
why?
For now
why?
Is it's very like it's so dramatic. Just a lot of good drama, good twists, even though, I mean, the main, like, silly thing in the episode is just, like, the sheer incompetence on the part of every cop in the story. But, again, I'm like, that's kind of realistic. It's just that we know that that's not, like, intentional on the show's part, that they're making any commentary about the incompetence of the police. So it's like, can't really give him credit for that one. It kind of feels like a mistake.
But it is funny.
It is funny. It's very funny.
So, on that note, I am ready to rate this episode a solid wait, let me Google something real quick. I rate it a solid 49 Jenga blocks out of 54.
Yeah,
with my note being, if you promise animal apocalypse, deliver.
Right. I would agree with that. Sounds about right. So yeah, thanks for tuning into another episode. We will be back next week with, I believe, the conclusion of the season 5 opening arc. I assume it's only 3 episodes. Could be wrong.
Could you imagine if it was 4 episodes? Have they done like a proper 4 episode opener yet?
I feel like the one in season 9.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, space.
It felt like it was a little unnecessarily
Angela Bassett going to space.
padded out. Yeah.
But that was the complaint about the last one, right? Yeah, that was the complaint about the last episode of season 9, that it was like padded and it was all very the pacing that was really tight in the first 3 episodes. Was that we'll get to it. We'll get to it when we get to it.
We'll get
to
it in a few seasons. Yes.
In a few seasons. But until then, thank you guys for tuning in to another thrilling installment of the First Risk Podcast. If you want to support us further, follow us on social media at First Risk Podcast, spelled how it sounds. If you want to support us even further than that, subscribe to our Patreon, where you can listen to our brand new January bonus episode where we discuss Crave original softcore series Heated Rivalry. And also Heated Rivalry created by Rachel Weed. And also maybe even something else as a surprise. So tune in. Thanks for listening.
Also, fuck ICE and protect your neighbors and donate to your local immigrant law center.
Yes, go Seahawks.
Not to like cheapen that message with all the joking around. I'm being serious.